Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. The topic that I have chosen for you today is Nehru's foreign policy. This topic is meant for the students of political science of class 12th. It is a topic from chapter number 13 of your textbook. And today I will throw light on the topic Nehru's foreign policy. Dear students, foreign policy and diplomacy are the means through which the international relations operate. Every nation, like an individual, tries to promote its own interests, and this is known as the national interest. So, while formulating or framing the principles of foreign relations, every nation keeps in view its own national interests. So, India is no exception. Pandit Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, is known as the architect of the India's foreign policy, we can say that India's foreign relations was mainly guided by Pandit Nehru. You may be knowing that India got freedom at a time when the environment across the world was hostile. The world had seen the catastrophic World War II and while restarting the process of economic reconstruction. At this stage, Pandit Nehru decided that the foreign policy of India is based on twin ideals. Number one, respect for the sovereignty of all nations. Number two, achievement of peace by maintaining peace. Therefore, foreign policy means seeking adjustment in the behavior of other states in favor of its own interests. Pandit Nehru, the tallest person in politics of India at that time, clearly stated that we must respect the sovereignty of all nations and must promote peace. And these are our twin ideals. He clearly stated that what does independence mean? It is fundamentally and basically the foreign relations that is the test of its independence. If a nation frames or formulates its foreign policy, keeping in view its own national interests and without the interference of any third country or big nation, then we say it is an independent nation. If the foreign policy of a nation goes out of the hands into the charge of somebody else, or we can say if the foreign policy of a nation is influenced by the other nation, in that sense, it has not remained independent. Now, Nehru's foreign policy. I already told you that Pandit Nehru is considered as the architect of India's foreign policy. In a broadcast 1946 in the Constituent Assembly, he said, "We promise as far as possible we keep away from the power politics and do not join any bloc in which one country is aligned against the other country. And these two power blocs had led to the world wars and may cause even large-scale disaster in future. So he kept aloof from joining either of the two blocs, Western Bloc or the Communist Bloc. Instead formed non-aligned movement, जिसको हम उर्दू में कहते हैं नावाबस्ता तहरीक. He said that this Cold War is a deadlier disease than poverty. He said that we do not seek our domination over other people, or we do not want privileged position over other people. We want equal, honorable treatment for our people wherever they go, and we reject any kind of discrimination for our people. He further said that we believe in peace and freedom. Peace and freedom are indivisible, they are inseparable, and the denial of freedom anywhere must endanger freedom elsewhere, and this may lead to conflicts and chaos. Pandit Nehru set the foreign policy or the foreign relation of India on the following premises. Number 1, India was to adopt free and independent foreign relations without becoming a satellite state of any big power. Number 2, Nehru supported United Nations organization in its object to stand for the freedom or for the independence of colonial and dependent people and support for their right to self-determination. Point number 3, Nehru favored to keep away from the power politics. He did not join any bloc. Rather, he kept aloof from these blocs because he believed that these two blocs will endanger the peace of the world. Number 4, it is in Indian foreign policy to oppose imperialism and racialism throughout the world in all its forms and manifestations. Or we can say it is Indian motive, it is Indian objective of foreign policy to oppose imperialism and racialism in all its forms and manifestations. India favors peace and freedom throughout the world. Formation of an international economic order on justice and fair play. Formation of a new international economic order on fair play and justice. Today we see that there is a crisis in the world, and developing nations time and again advocate for a new international economic order because the old economic order is in favor of the developed countries. Whenever any bargaining takes place between the developed and developing countries, the developing countries are at loss. So he believed on the principle of an international economic order where we have justice and fair play. Then support to secure fair share for developing countries. To secure fair share for developing countries of the world. These were some of the principles of the Indian foreign policy. And he also believed that in the settlement of international disputes peacefully and amicably, and reduction of international disputes. Dear students, I think it is sufficient for today. Khuda Hafiz. Stay home. Stay healthy.